Hey guys, welcome back. So this week I wanted to make an art journal from kind of scratch. I sort of have this cover that I've been moving from pile to pile and haven't really done anything with it. But I had a couple of people request a video about how I make my art journals, so I will show you. So my favorite size for an art journal is a B6, which I believe it's roughly a 5x7. This is what I usually work in as far as like art journaling. Why? I don't know. I started to do it like for junk journaling. As you can see, I don't bind them, and then it like went into more art journaling. This one I have bound by like page by page, and so I'm gonna try to explain that here fully, because I always say it and I show it, but I don't know that it's fully understood. So this cover is not a 5x7. It is like I don't even know. This is probably like a 7x7. So it's square. I'm not vibing with it, which is probably why it's been bouncing around. So I'm just gonna chop off like the 2 inches and make it a 5x7. So that's our plan for our cover. It's just some scrap paper. If you've watched the channel before, you know that this was like all full of paint. It's basically from that. I just cut it out. Then the inside I aligned with contact paper, so it's kind of like pocket, like it has pockets on top, sort of like, I don't know if you guys remember what's that planner, like Moterms are like that, and like Foxy Fix used to make them. And I have made journals like this before. I've made like Christmas junk journals like this before with like little pockets, but I've never tried it with like a paper bag. But I felt like the contact paper would keep it from tearing. We shall see. But you can basically make your cover out of anything you want: fabric, cardstock, reinforced paper. Like if you wanted to glue several layers of paper together, you could do that. I don't really care too much about the cover. I think the bendier the better, because as you can see, it gets super chunky, and then it helps when the cover is smooth. Most of my covers I also make from just magazine covers. You can use that as well if it's like a nice thick covered magazine. Papers inside for art journaling, it's a mishmash. My main goal is to find and use papers that are absorbent, that can withstand a lot of wet media. I primarily work with watercolor, acrylic paint pens, puff paint, fabric paint. I use glitter gel, I use acrylic inks, so very wet media. So for me personally, what the inside looks like is not really a priority. Like, I'm not trying to make it look any kind of way on the inside. I'm just worried about what kind of papers can I use that are going to withstand the abuse I'm about to put upon this book. That's what you need to think about, like when you're doing your art journal. Like, what kind of media do you work with? If you collage mostly, then you'd want to stick to maybe thinner papers. So some of the papers that I go to for like withstanding a wetter media is scrapbook paper. The other type of paper that I use is old book paper, and that's because old book paper is made from a much higher quality paper. So for example, like this paper here, like listen to that thickness. It's like watercolor paper. So this is definitely like the kind of paper that I look for when I'm looking at old book paper. Another type of paper is watercolor paper. I stick to around a very like low weight watercolor paper, 130 pound, because the like standard is like 300 pound, and I find that that is very thick, will book up super fast. So for that reason, I use this, it's thick, but it's just not as thick as 300 pounds. And then if you have art paper, I have, this is not art paper, this is just like paper. But I have all this art paper, and this is done on 300-pound paper. So I don't know that I will use any of this in here. It's all mixed up with other stuff, but yeah, you could use your own art paper if you wanted to. I'm gonna cut this down to 5x7. So now we have like a 5x7, and I'm just gonna go ahead and staple now the vertical side, because obviously it's no longer sealed. We have sealed off the sides, and all I'm gonna do is the stack we just talked about. I'm going to go through, pick out whatever papers, and then come right back. And I went with 12 pages. That's what I'm gonna stick to. Basically, when I cut these down, I know this is a 5x7, so I have to cut the pages 1 inch shorter than 5x7. So you're gonna cut your pages at 6x4.
Hola, Editing Dolly here. I gave the wrong measurements. The book is 7x5, but when you open up the book, it's 7x10. So you want to cut your papers down to 6x9.
So I'm gonna go ahead and cut these down and be right back. I'll fit within your book, and it's gonna look like this. Now, like I said before, I don't bind mine at all. Like this one, I have some pages that are bound and some that are not. Or this one, I bound every page pretty much. And how I did this is that when I went to work on a spread, so let's say like this one, I opened up a page and I would put a piece of the paper that I was collaging. I would just use a piece of that paper and like glue it across so that these two pages are like attached. Alternatively, if you're not comfortable with a book that is just open like this, you can use some strong tape to attach them, like duct tape or clear tape, or just a tape that's gonna hold up to like you moving it around. Personally, don't want to do that because sometimes the pages end up getting very thick, and then this way I can like remove if I have to, and I don't have to like cut out a signature. But I will do like the first 1 or 2 pages so you guys can see what I'm talking about. So you can do it either way. You can do it vertically or like horizontally. Horizontally will probably hold it together better in my opinion, because it's like a longer strip of tape. But before you stick this on, you can take out the bulk of it so like you can align it. But basically you want to take your first page and your second page and align them at where you creased it, and then you can just put your tape down and then go on to your next page, and you can just continue to do this with all your pages if you want. You can do some of them and leave some loose, that way if it ends up that you do need to remove some pages, you can still do that. You can even use like decorative tape. I know they have like a lot of cool different duct tapes now. If you wanted to match it, like I kind of did unknowingly match it to this paper, but you can kind of match it to the aesthetic of your book if you wanted to. I'm gonna end up covering all this most likely, so I don't really mind if it doesn't match. But yeah, that is it for our little art journal. I hope you make one along with me, and if you have any questions, just leave them down in the comments. And I think that's it. I don't think there's anything really more to say about art journal making. It's pretty straightforward, it's fun. My favorite thing is like I don't really have to think too hard on what the papers look like. I only have to worry about, are these papers going to withstand what I'm going to put on them, glues and paints and marker and acrylic paint and all that. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I love you so much, and I will see you on the next one. Bye.